Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is having a great day. This is episode 27 of our Python series, and today we're going to be learning about for loops in Python. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So what is a for loop? A for loop allows us to repeat code for each item within a sequence or a collection. Let's create a for loop by starting with an example. So we can say for number in, and then we could create a list. And let's say our list contains some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can have a colon, and then we could just print the number. And let's run our code, guys, and we should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets printed onto the screen. So let's understand what's actually happening here, guys. So in order to create a for loop in Python, we use the for keyword. It should be all lowercase, and then the for word, after that it expects a variable. In this case, we called our variable number. And then we use the in keyword to say this variable inside of a collection. And in this case, our collection right here is a list of numbers containing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then followed by a colon, we can produce an action. Let me actually demonstrate this more to you guys. So in order to create a for loop, our syntax is like this. So we use the for keyword followed by a variable name followed by the in keyword, and then we provide a collection followed by a colon. And then when we press enter, guys, notice the indentation, or IDE does that for us, or our code editor. We can then perform an action right here, or a piece of code that we want to get repeated for each item within that collection. So simply, guys, whenever we let me bring this back. Whenever we say for number in this list right here, we're saying, hey Python, I want you to go through each number inside of this list right here, which is our collection. And then I want you to perform an action or a piece of code, which is print each number, which is stored inside of this variable that we have right here, or we have defined right here, guys. And that's basically how our for loop works. Let's see another example of how we can loop through a list. Alright, suppose we created a variable, let's call it fruits, and this will be a list containing a bunch of fruits. So we could have like apple, which is a string. We could have like banana, and then we could have like orange. And then suppose we wanted to print out each items inside of our fruits list, guys. In order to do this, we could use a for loop. So what we could say for, remember the syntax, for variable in a collection followed by a colon and then an action. So what we can do, we can come here, we can replace the variable with a fruit, since we want each fruit inside of this fruits list or collection. And we replace our collection with this fruits list. And then the action that we want to perform is print out each fruit. So we can simply do print fruit. And this will tell Python, hey, I want you to go through each item inside of this list one by one and store that fruit inside of this fruit variable that we define right here. And then I want you to print out that fruit. And what happens, guys, is this is called iteration or iterating. It's basically the process of going through each item, and we can perform an action on each item. So if we run our code now, guys, you will see that apple, banana, and orange gets printed out. We could even add another fruit, for example. Let's say cherry. And if we save our code, then we run it, you'll see apple, banana, orange, and cherry gets printed out. So that's how we basically loop through a list, guys. Alright, I'm gonna show you guys how we can loop through a string. So let's say we had a variable, and our variable contains the string Python, right? And we wanted to print each individual characters one by one on a separate line. To do this, we could use a for loop, because a string, guys, is basically a sequence or a collection of characters, right? So as long as something is a collection in Python or a sequence that we can print each individual items in, then we can use a for loop to print them, right? So let's see how we can print the string now. Or so we can say for letter in, let's say, word, then we can simply do print letter. And what this will do, it will go through our string containing the word Python and print each individual letter or character on a new line. So you can see Python, and everything is printed individually. And that's how you loop through a string, guys. I want to talk to you guys now about the range function. So in order to use the range function, we'll create a for loop, and let's say for number, and we'll say int, and now we'll simply call the range function. And what the range function does, guys, is it allows us to generate a sequence of numbers. So let's say we put 5 as a parameter to this function, and then a colon, and then we did print number. What would happen is numbers from 0 up to 4 would get printed out. Let me show you guys. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And why did it start printing from 0? Because the range function by default, guys, always starts from 0. And it prints numbers less than the maximum number that we provide right here as an argument, which is 5. So it counts from 0 all the way up to 4. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Right? Now, if we wanted it to count from, let's say, 1 instead of from 0, what we could do 1, and then we could add a comma, and then a 5, which would be the stopping point or the ending point, right? So this would be the starting point, 1, and then this would be the ending point, 5, right? And then if we run our code, it would just print from 1 up to, let's say, 4. So you can see it prints now 1, 2, 3, and then 4. All right, if we wanted it to print all the way up to 5, we could put a 6 right here, and then it would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's how we use the range function, guys. It simply generates a sequence of numbers. Alright, guys, so I want to show you another example with the range function. Alright, so let's go back to our fruits example. So we have a collection, right? And it's basically a list of fruits, right? And we could have apple, we could have cherry, we could have banana, and then we could have, let's say, orange. And what we could do, guys, let me actually get rid of this. Remember the syntax for our for loop: for variable in a collection, right? And then an action. So right here we could have a variable, so we could say something like for, I don't know, let's say I, and then instead of providing the actual fruits, guys, let's say we wanted to number each fruit. Meanwhile, we are printing it out. We could use the range function to do this. So we could say for I in, and then we could say range, and then we could simply provide the length of this fruits list. So we could say length of fruits, and then for the action, guys, what this range function will do, guys, is it will give the indices of each fruit inside of our fruits list. So it will give 0. It will give 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, 1, 2, and then 3. And if we do print I, guys, let's see what actually happens. Let me clear the screen, and then if we run the code, you'll see it prints 0, 1, 2, and then 3. Now, since it's generating those indices, guys, we could actually print out each fruits alongside it. So we could say print fruits index position I. And what this will do is it will iterate through each fruits at a part, and it will grab that value at the ith index, right? So if we run the code, you will see apple is at index 0, cherry is at index 1, banana is at index 2, orange is at index 3, and so on. If we added another fruit, let's say mango, and then we ran the code, it will do 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 mango, right? We could add a +1 to the I, and it would actually count from 1 instead. So 1 apple, 2 cherry, 3 banana, 4 orange, 5 mango. And yeah, that's basically how we can use the range function, guys, to do that. Now, yeah, that's all I wanted to show you guys. Alright, guys, let's see how we can use a for loop with an if statement. So let's start by creating a variable with let's call it numbers, and it will be a list. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we could create a for loop. So we could say for number in numbers, and then we could have an if statement inside of our for loop. So we could say if, let's say, number is greater than, let's say, 3, then we could simply print out that number. So if we run our code, guys, it should only print out 4, and it should only print out 5. Let's see. And you can see 4 and 5 gets printed out. So let me explain how this is working, guys. So what we're saying, hey Python, I want you to iterate or go through each individual item inside of this numbers list. And I want you to store each number inside of this variable called number. And as long as you store that number inside of that variable, I want you to check if that number is greater than 3. If that is the case, I want you to display that number onto the screen. So you can see we do print number right there. And that's basically what's happening. So we could have, let's change this number to, let's say, 2. And it will only print numbers greater than 2 that is inside of our numbers list. So if we run our code, you see 3, 4, 5 gets printed out onto the screen. And that's basically how we can use an if statement with our for loop, guys. Alright, let's start with a practical example, guys. Alright, so suppose we had a variable, let's call it names, and it will be the names of some person. So I don't know, we could have something like John, we could have something like Alex, we could have a person like, let's say, Max. And suppose we wanted to greet each one of them by saying like hello John, hello Alex, hello Max, etc., etc., if more names were present. We could use a for loop to iterate or go through each individual names inside of our list and print out a greeting for them, right? So we could say, create a for loop, so we could say for name in names. So we're getting the name inside of the names list, right? So for each one of those names, we're now going to do print, and then we could have a message like, let's say, hello, comma, name. And what it will do is it will say hello to each name that is present inside of our list. So if we run our code, it will say hello John, hello Alex, hello Max, etc., etc. And you guys can see it there, hello John, hello Alex, hello Max. If we added another name, let's say Sarah, and then we run the code, guys, you will see that it says hello John, hello Alex, hello Max, hello Sarah. And that's literally our practical example for today, guys. Quick recap, guys. A for loop allows us to repeat code for each item within a sequence or a collection. And that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you all learned something new and valuable. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button. And also don't forget to leave a comment down below. Stay tuned and I'll see you in the next episode.